guess it all started a few years ago. I was a regular on a different site. I'd go there to troll, mostly. I was a little younger and much less mature then. Anyways, after I'd been visiting the site for a while, I got into it with this girl. Said some pretty mean things to her. She convinced me that I genuinely hurt her feelings. Well, I never meant anyone harm with my trolling. I just did it to pass the time. I didn't really have that much of a life, to be honest. So, I sent her a message to apologise. After that, we started sending the occasional message back and forth, and we began getting to know each other. Soon, it was a message or two every day, and then, not long after, we began chatting on a daily basis. I'd get back from work, go to my cramped little room, and immediately get on to see if Amanda, we'll call her Amanda, was on. I grew to really like her, and as crazy and stupid as it may sound to most people, I grew to love her. One thing I noticed early on, she didn't take rejection very well, even though I never have rejected her anyways. She often took it that I was if I couldn't talk to her for some reason. During those times, she'd often lash out, chew me out, and then sign off. As our relationship grew though, so did her ability to confide in me. She began telling me about her addictions. First, it was minor things. Not even really that bad in my opinion. She'd talk about how she'd smoke pot on the weekends and get blackout drunk. Later, she started telling me about the pills she'd take when she was drunk. I worried a little bit more then. I'd never been perfect myself. I'd experimented plenty of drugs before. Eventually, it got to the point where we'd talk about wanting to be with one another, about how we wanted to meet. At the time, the situation just wasn't right for either of us though. Between the distance, her not having a car, and me not having enough time off work, it just wasn't possible. When we'd say goodnight, she'd usually go on for another 10 minutes about how she was so sad and alone, and all she wanted was to be with me. I tried to comfort her, but it never worked. Eventually, I decided it was only fair to her that we'd started talking to each other, just as friends. I figured her feelings for me would eventually fade, and she'd find someone local who she could be happy with. She was very beautiful, so it wasn't as if she'd have to worry about attracting someone. She didn't take it very well. She told me that she'd hated me, called me every name in the book. I didn't hear from her for a week after that. When she started talking to me again, she said she understood, and that she was sorry for saying she hated me. Needless to say, I was glad she'd forgiven me, and it put my mind at ease that she was able to understand, or so I thought. After that, she began talking about every guy she'd slept with, telling me details. I still had feelings for her. She knew I did. I told her to stop, and she'd back off for a bit. She'd always tell me about the other one, and every once in a while she'd say, "It could be you." Our relationship continued to become more destructive. She began hurting herself, sending me pictures of razor marks on her wrists, telling me about the needle she was sticking in her arm right before she screwed a total stranger. It was hard to deal with, but I did, because I blamed myself for not being able to make her happy. This went on for a while, until the time came when I was to be deployed. I told her about it, and she seemed genuinely concerned. We told each other that we'd keep in touch, and for a while before I left, it was like it used to be. Then, the day came when I went away. Though I had the opportunity to get online, it wasn't often. Our communication became less and less frequent, until finally I just stopped hearing from her altogether. A year went by. I think about her every once in a while, but not too often. When I'd gotten back, I started frequenting the forums on that site again. I found out that Amanda had deleted her account and basically told everyone they'd never hear from her again. Eventually, everyone forgot about her, even me. Then, about 3 months ago, I got a private message from an unfamiliar screen name. She claimed to like some writing I posted on my profile. I thought that was strange because no one ever reads people's blogs there, and I'd never really thought my writing was any good. The way this person talked, I knew exactly who it was, so I called her on it. She confessed that it was her, Amanda. We sent a few messages back and forth. She was very different. She told me that after we'd stopped talking, that she'd given up. I had been her only happiness aside from drugs, and the only way she knew how to feel something without self-mutilation was to love me. She told me that she'd only messaged me because she wanted to let me know she intended to take her own life. She didn't know anyone who cared, and she said that she at least hoped I'd care. I did. I tried to talk her out of it. Amanda told me if I really didn't want her to go through with it, I'd let her call me. She just wanted to hear my voice. So I gave her my number. Moments later, I received a phone call from a blocked number. I knew it was her. I answered. "Hello? Amanda?" She replied. "Yes, it's me. No one has ever listened to me. But you did. You cared. You're the only one who ever has. But then you abandoned me, and I had no one. I just wanted to call because I wanted you to know it's too late now. I wanted you to hear me say it, not just read it. You're going to listen now, and then you're going to truly learn how it's felt for me, being invisible to everyone, not existing." Then all I heard was her sobbing. I tried to comfort her. I tried telling her I cared. She wouldn't listen. Then I heard a strange sound, a very low-pitched humming sound. It was a disturbing sound. It began to drown out her sobbing, and then her sobbing could no longer be heard at all. I don't know if it was too loud, or if she just stopped. I listened to this strange, almost alien noise. Even as it sent a chill down my spine, I couldn't stop. And then the phone call ended. I tried messaging her several times a day. I never got a reply. A week went by, and then it started. I received a phone call from a blocked number. I answer. It was always the same thing every time. The noise. That awful twisting sound. It would go on for about a minute, and then the call would end. I could never manage to hang up for some reason. I assumed it was her and she was messing with me. A ridiculous effort to get attention. Even believing that though, the noise still bothered me. Some nights, after hearing that noise, I even began sleeping with the lights on. Silly, I know. After about a month of this, I received an anonymous email. Just a bunch of random numbers. Usually I wouldn't have even noticed such an email. There was no subject, no body, only an attachment. I scanned it, no for viruses, nothing. It was just a video. I clicked to open, and shortly after the video began playing on my screen. At first it was kind of dark. It was a bit blurry. I couldn't really make out much. I could tell there was a person though. The person began to light some candles, and as the room began to fill with an eerie light, the camera began to focus. I knew it was her. She was sitting alone in a room with a phone in her hand. She picked up the phone and put it to her lips. "Yes, it's me. No one has ever listened. It was from the night we'd spoken. I continued watching, not remembering how the call ended. Then she began to cry, and I heard that awful noise. My hair stood on end and my hand began to tremble. What I saw next. If I could rid any memory, it would be those next few minutes. There were no words to describe it. The thing that made that noise. I sat there and watched as she committed in the most disturbing fashion I could ever imagine, staying on the phone till the very last moment. Then the screen became static and the video ended. I contemplated what I just saw. I was horrified. My mind raced. Who sent it to me? It obviously wasn't her. But who would film that? Who would take part in that? Stand by and watch that? And then send me the video? I'd never talked to her through email. How did they get my email? My thoughts were cut short though, as my phone began to ring. It was a blocked number. Hello? All I heard was that sickening noise. And then weeping. Her weeping. The sound faded a bit. I heard her voice. You'll be forgotten. Just like me. People will stop noticing. They'll stop caring. Soon, all you'll have is me. You'll be mine, again, forever. Then the noise picked up again for a few moments. The call ended. I know what I saw. She wasn't alive. She didn't have the money or the skills necessary to produce a video that real looking. Unless it was real. She probably recorded that phone call before the video, I thought. Some sick bastard is responsible for all this. The calls, the anonymous email. I just wanted it to stop. But the phone calls didn't stop. Always the same. Except now I could hear her crying. And always she ended it by saying, "You'll be mine forever. Only I'll be able to see you." I began watching the video every day. The numbers in the email weren't random either. I'd realised it was a date. The date of that first phone call. It was about a month ago. I began to notice that people didn't seem to really pay much attention to me at work. They acknowledged me if I said something pertaining to a job. But then they'd always go right on with their business. It was as though all personal conversation had started coming to an end. Then about a week ago, they stopped calling my name at formations. It was as if people were outright ignoring me, often looking right past me. If I said hello, even to a stranger, I wouldn't get a response. As I typed this, I've never felt so alone. I just wanted someone to know. None of you have really seemed to notice me either. But maybe one of you will read this. Maybe somebody will care. I have to go now. The noise has started again. It's not on the phone anymore. It's in my room.